Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of the Code for Giants Cup number 8, your bi-weekly dose of Brazilian StarCraft 2. I did see someone asking in the chat, is it Stormgate? Is it Zero? It's StarCraft, Bobby. It's StarCraft. But it's good to be back, good to be here once again, and a massive shout out to Sort of SC in the chat. To Sort of, thank you so much for the raid. Hope you had a great stream. Hope you had a great ladder session. Get some rest, Pappy. I know it's getting late in Europe. I know it's getting late. And thank you so much for the raid. Do appreciate it. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to a bi-weekly tournament of Brazilian StarCraft 2. Again, in years past, we did have Latin American and Brazilian tournaments a little bit more regularly. A shout out to Cosmos. Cosmos, of course, he is the Portuguese or the Brazilian caster, and he has been organizing these bi-weekly tournaments for the Brazilian scene, to help foster the scene, to help grow it once again. In the past, we had tournaments like Amantes de StarCraft, we had Gladiadores as well. There were these big events for the Latin American community. They've since slowly died off over time, and we haven't actually seen them for a couple of years. It's been a couple of years since these big Latin American events were being held, and at least Cosmos is bringing it back in part with Code for Giants Cup. So much love to Cosmos. And as a heads up, I mean, it's a part of the title, this is a replay cast. Fun fact, this event occurred last week. Was it last week? Or yeah, it was last week during ESL Americas. And of course, we were casting ESL Americas. We weren't able to cast this live as it was clashing with ESL Americas. And usually we would have a replay cast like right afterwards. But then we had EWC. Then we had EWC. We had a week full of EWC. It was crazy. It was intense. It was an amazing event. And now that EWC has wrapped up, now we can catch up on events that we otherwise missed out on, like Code for Giants Cup instead. So here we go. We're jumping in. We are going to be jumping. Oh my god, Papi. Cosmos in the chat. Oh my god. Fala galera, Papi. Fala galera. Much love for Cosmos. Yeah, of course. Este Cosmos. Again, he's like, what would the equivalent be? He's like the Loco of Brazil, the Loco, the Wardy, if you will. You know, kind of the big guy. He's also a Papi. He's a fellow Papi. Not quite in the same way, but congratulations, Cosmos, on creating a family, of course. And oh boy, we're here to jump on in. As a reminder as well, we have plenty of players available. We'll get into some Eric action, of course. We're totally not biased, but Eric did compete in this event as well. The Brazilian Zerg player from the CranKy Ducklings. We'll be cheering for him a little bit later on. But before we get to Eric, before we get to the later rounds, we're here in the round of 16. We're here going to be featuring our lovely Protoss and Terran player. Going to be jumping into Stimpacker versus Victor. Let's go. To have a TVP to kick things off. Again, because this is a replay cast, there won't be any predictions. There's not going to be any Gamba going in the chat, especially for those that maybe peek at the spoilers. So no Gambas in the chat. But regardless, we're going to have a lot of fun. I have been avoiding spoilers myself, as we always do whenever we go over some replay casts. And we'll see how we go as we jump into game 1 on Oceanborn. Always, Pappy, always. Super glad you're covering it. Take care, Cosmos. Take care. Much love. Oh, I thought it said Frost Giants Cup. It's okay. It's all good. Code for Giants Cup. The other one. There we go. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have our Brazilian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Team Host Masters. It is Vic Mansimer, aka Victor. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran representing Eximius Gaming. It is Stimpacker. Here we go. Watch Stimpacker play mech. Watch him not research Stim whatsoever. Smoge, baby, Smoge. Which would be exciting, especially if we played against Protoss. Not gonna lie. But for now, we are gonna be settling in. Again, Victor is a player that we have covered in the past. It's actually been a couple of years. Not gonna lie, I remember casting Victor back in like 2020, 2021. It has been a couple of years. It is great to see him here once again. Still, of course, competing, still active in the scene. A bit of a blast from the past. Meanwhile, Stimpacker is a newer face to me. I'm familiar with the team, of course, with Eximius. They are a very prevalent Brazilian team, but I'm unfamiliar with the player themselves. So I'm curious to see how Stimpacker does compare to Ome Vic. I'm curious to see. For the time being, though, we're going to be entering, we're going to be getting into our standard openers. We do have a Rax Expand single gas opener out of Stimpacker. Meanwhile, Vic back at home just going for the Gate Cybercore into Expand as well. Everything looking as it should. Likewise, good morning, everyone. It is bright and early here in Australia, the land of Australia. And just like yesterday, I do plan on having a bit of a cheeky ladder session after the cast, after the stream. Today, we only have one cast, just Code for Giants Cup. Tomorrow, we're going to be going over HSL. That is the Hyper Star League. We're going to be covering that as well. That's going to be tomorrow. The day after should be OSC King of the Hill and, you know, getting into our regular broadcasting schedule. But especially because some events are on hiatus or they're on a break. I'm referring to WTL. World Team League is on a week break and they're coming back next week. We have a little bit of extra time to, you know, do things like ladder. I rarely get a chance to ladder, so we'll be doing so after the event. After that, yeah. One of these days, I'm gonna sign up for one of these Latin American tournaments. I remember because technically I have dual citizenship. I'm Peruvian and Australian, and I had the option back in the day to compete in events like Sentimiento Latino and Batalla de las Americas, and I was always offered to jump in, but I never did because I was always casting. One of these days, so it's tempting to jump into the scene again after so many years. I miss it, Papi. I miss it. But we're going to be featuring players this week like Eric, Master as well, the best Protoss in Brazil. Inexorable, of course, the best Terran player in Brazil. I say best Terran player in Brazil. I don't think Kellizer is currently in Brazil right now, but Kellizer would have him there. True. Inexorable, up-and-coming Terran player in Brazil, I should say. I don't think Yan signed up this week, unfortunately. So we're going to be missing out on some Yan action, but plenty of other players and competitors, don't you worry. Meanwhile, interesting, a Robo opener. Okay, very safe opener out of Victor. Across the map, of course, the Adept is going to be threatening a shade, trying to get a read on what's going on. It's going to be a 1-1-1 out of Stimpacker, but something a little bit more important as the Adept attempts to escape and barely will be able to get out of here. Oh my god. As it takes a lot of hull damage, is the Robo opener. It goes into a Bay. Now, there's some pros and cons to this kind of play style from Victor. The downside, of course, without Blink, without Phoenixes, or without Oracles, we have very little map control. We have very little to harass, to poke in, to really threaten the bases of Stimpacker. The upside, though, is that we can embrace earlier Colossus and shut down bio-based pushes. So this is why this is considered more of a safer opener, because we can rush into Colossus and it can shut down 3 Raxes or 2-on-1s or this kind of, you know, earlier aggression here from the Terran player. The downside is that you don't really have much working across the map. And there it is. Colossus is on the way. Are we waiting for the Colossus? Are we going for a drop? Hold on. The Reaper does poke in, and we do get eyes on the Robo initially, but I was expecting... Okay, there we go. I was expecting the War Prism to move out for, like, some Adept harass, right? That's typically what we would do here. The Prism was suspiciously staying back at home, and I was curious as to the purpose of it, but the Prism moves out. The Reaper gets a full scout of the main base. That is War Prism speed. That's what I was waiting for. He's crazy. Oh, wait. Oh, my. Nina, is that you? Oh, my God. Meanwhile, across the map, 3 SCVs go down, so pretty good damage so far. Widowmine drop is moving out. At the same time, the War Prism is coming back home, and we are going for what looks to be a vanilla Colossus drop. I say vanilla because this will not have extended thermal lance. This is why you don't see this too often, because in researching War Prism speed, that means you delay Colossus range, so it's kind of a risky maneuver. But we're going for it. Let's go. Oh my god. We're going for the drop. At the same time, Widowmine drop does hit the natural waste. We do pull away in time, and up, do we get the Stalker? We do not. Probe is going to go down. Nice reaction so far. At the same time, drop into the main base. We do react in time as well. We do pull away. Bit of an overreaction as we have not actually dropped the Widowmine yet. Some nice damage here from the Terran player. Meanwhile, from the side of the Protoss, ooh, it looks like we might have been F2ing a little bit, so the drop was delayed. The drop came back for a moment, but is now zooming across the map, and we have a lot of potential to get damage done. So far, the tank is unsieged. We have some vanilla marines in position. We can swipe away at them. Ooh, the Colossus takes a lot of hits, but does get out of range of the tank and should be able to deal with the marines at least. But can we get any SCV damage? Ooh, so far, we get 2 SCV kills. Not too bad. Oh! We get 2 SCVs. The juggling, papi! We can't quite dodge marine shots, but marines are melting here. And oh my god, we get 5 SCVs here at the natural base. Very nice damage from Victor. And so far hasn't lost anything either. Viking is on the way. The Viking is going to shut this down. But so far, some pretty good damage here. And this solves the problem that you have with a robo opener, which is that you can't really get much harassing damage across the map. Oh my god, as we get 7 SCVs. Can we get more? Oh. We get 8 SCVs. The Viking is about to pop out. We have to get the hell out of here before the Viking does pop. Observer is going to fall, and Victor will get out. Hopefully, he does race back home. I mean, with War Prison speed, I believe we should be able to outpace that Viking regardless. The Viking has arrived. Victor does turn back around. Behind this, third base is on the way, and we are now getting into Extend Thermal Lens. Immortal production. We have the Twilight Council into, I imagine, Charge, potentially Blink as well. So far, so good here by Victor. He minimizes losses against the Widowmine drop, and he deals quite an amount of damage across the map. Oh! Oh my god, we are playing with fire. we need to calm down, papi. I mean, Stim isn't done, thankfully. If Stim was done, we could shut this down. But so far, so good. We get another 2 SCVs. The juggling as well. Oh, the prison does take a couple of hits. To calm down, we have to get out of here. The Prism will race back. So far, so good. Again, some elegant micro out of Victor. And back at home, we're settling in. Interesting that we did prioritize these shield batteries, so really safe play out of Victor. It looks like he was afraid of like an all-in as a response, so we are well prepared here with 3 shield batteries and soon to be an overcharge. What we're lacking is some sentries, like especially if we were able to spot the move out, we could force field the ramp and slow down the push, but Victor is in the dark. The Observer was sniped earlier because of the Raven, and Victor, he doesn't spot this. Does not spot this massive missile here on the main army. Oh my god, we cover everything in that Dorito dust. At the same time, we summon forward, but the shield batteries are done and the overcharge is available. Yeah, we have the overcharge, and with it, we should be okay. Meanwhile, where's the Colossus? Oh, we're coming in for a flank. Let's go. Oh my god, the Prism takes a lot of damage, but so far, so good. The overcharge will keep alive. We disable the Prism, but the Colossus survives. And with the help of the Colossus, we will clean this up. Again, I appreciate the disable on the Prism, but alas, it did drop in time, and we do hold. Oh my god. That was crazy. Victor does barely hold on. Stimpak gets the hell out of here, and unfortunately, that was his entire army gone. This bio army, the Raven does survive. Thankfully, we do have a third CC behind this. We were not necessarily all in, but at the same time, we kind of were because we don't really have much left. Don't really have much of an army remaining here. The Prism does make it back across the map, dipping into the main. We do bypass the third base, and we do have Stim, bear that in mind, so we can deal with this Colossus, but the Prism, it's a speedy boy. We get back into the main base, we swipe away, we get 1 more SCV, almost another. Victor flexing his control here, getting a 4th base behind this, getting further ahead economically, and getting 3 SCV, 4 SCVs, oh my god. We do have to get out of here though, oh my, Jesus. We do have to pick up, do have to get out. At the same time, across the map, another Widowmine drop into the natural. No reaction, we don't pull away. Oh my god. 8 probes, not bad. And we save the Widowmines. Stimpacker, he's crazy. Let's go. We save the Widowmines, 8 probe kills, not too bad whatsoever. We could always dip back in. At the same time, ooh, the Colossus finally goes down. And Stimpacker, now he's had a couple of strong moments here. He gets some probe damage, he finally shuts down the Colossus. If I'm not mistaken, I believe there was only 1. Yeah, only 1 Colossus, so suddenly we don't really have that much splash damage. I mean, I say that, Storm is about to finish, so the era of the Colossus is come and gone. The thing that I'm worried about, though, is, oh, we're coming back in. This time we do respond. Oh my god, despite that, 4 probes go down, 12 worker kills in total, and we save them again. Get out of here. Blink is not done. There is no blink. The drop is going to be able to get the hell out of here. And what I was getting at is I'm concerned by the lack of Colossus. Storm is good, don't get me wrong. Storm can be amazing, but we are lacking consistent splash damage here. We're lacking the backbone of the army. I guess the backbone at this point is going to be the Immortal, but we're relying so heavily on Storm. Meanwhile, with that scan, Ghost Academy. Ghost Academy's on the way. Now Stimpacker is aware of the High Templar, but is it too late? Because here comes the push. The army is spotted. I mean, the scan did spot the move out. Zippacker's keeping up. At the same time, Warp Prism into the main base. SCVs are going down. Massive Warp into the main. Likewise, Zealot Rumbai towards the natural. Ooh, and we are wreaking havoc here in the main bases. 11 SCVs going down and counting. And Zippackerr, he refuses to respond. He sees the main army. He doesn't want to back off. We catch 3 Widow Mines. Widow Mines are going down. And we do engage with the main army. We have Storm up. And we have at least 4 Storms available. The first one is spent. And we have more behind this. So far, nice target fighting on those Archons. Meanwhile, oh my god, that was a brutal storm, and we're losing everything. We're losing everything in the main base. Sure, we might be holding the 3rd base. Oh my god, we're not even holding the 3rd. Massive storm once again. And Victory's pulling Zippackerr apart. I mean, he had some nice moments with the Widowmine drops with catching the Colossus. Unfortunately, wasn't able to keep up. Just too much damage. GG gets called, and Victor takes game number 1. Whew. GG. That was crazy. GG, well played. A very fancy opener going for a Robo first into the Colossus drop was working beautifully there, and again, likewise, the defense as well was something that stood out to me when it came to the drop defense with the Colossus, being able to hold against the main push as well. Victor having some strong moments in this game. Likewise, Zippackerr, he was able to fight back in some ways, but when it came to the early Colossus damage, that was almost game ending, right? So the fact that we were able to cripple the economy early on with the Colossus, likewise defend against the counterattack and hold on to the 3rd base, Victor just snowballed out of control economically, and alas, it just wasn't enough for Zippackerr to recover from that. And with that, Victor does take a lead, but now we're jumping into game number 2. Let's go. Let's see if we can bounce back. As a reminder, this is a best of 3. It is purely best of 3s until the finals. That will be where the best of 5 is held. We will get there. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have our Brazilian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss representing Team Host Masters. It is Vic Vansimer. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran representing Zimmy's Gaming. Down in this series, looking to bounce back. Here and now, it is Zippackerr. Catching him. You're in Australia? Me too. Oh, let's go, mate. Yeah, of course, man. Of course. That is also why, when it comes to covering events like EWC or EPT as well, I absolutely ruin my sleep schedule. I mean, I'm sure you're aware, like, being a fellow StarCraft fan from Australia, it's not easy whenever there's, like, big events in Europe or big events in America. Usually, it's really difficult to be able to watch them, but, yeah, we make do. I mean, it's a bit of a give and take, right? Like, it's really brutal trying to watch European or American tournaments, but it's better when it comes to Korean events, right? Like GSL, Pro League back in the day, SSL, for example, VSL or VTL. So yeah, it's a bit of a give and take. Unfortunately, nowadays, no Pro League, but you know, it's fine. WTL at least is a good time for us. As Victor does open up with a Probe Scout, going to be going for a pesky pylon block. This will force the Rax to lift and land elsewhere for an add-on, so it's a very annoying maneuver here from the Protoss. Likewise, gets another Scout here into the main, just to get eyes on the follow-up. We can see, of course, it is a Rax expand. Single gas opener at a Zippackerr, so we're going for the CC on the low ground. Meanwhile, Victor back at home, just going for his own standard opener as well. Very similar to game 1, outside of course, the pylon block. Now, we saw Victor pop off earlier with the Robo opener into Colossus drop. I don't expect to see that again in the series. I mean, I say that. It did work. So, we might see it again. It's possible. I was going to say that usually you do want to vary up your builds and mix things up, especially at a higher level of play, just because you expect your opponents to be able to counter you and to be able to respond and to be able to adapt to your play. But we'll see what the option is going to be, what the response is for Victor and Zippackerr as well. Ooh, we get one probe. Reaver gets across the map, gets one probe kill so far, not bad. Gets one probe, and we're forcing a lot of lost mine time already. Oh my god. Get one probe, we're going for another, and again, that's going to be, what, 6 probes forced off the mineral line. The death finally does arrive, and we will defend. But that was some good damage early on. You can see here the economy swinging in favor of Zippackerr. Swing deep into the red for a moment there. It's nice damage. Meanwhile, across the map, the pylon is still in position. It's still in the main. It is going to be another 1-1-1. Looks to be another Widowmine drop setup here from Stimpacker. We'll see if that's the case. Don't listen to him. He's never had a sleep schedule. True. Smooch. Aye. As Reaper dips in once again, another robot opener. Okay. It looks to be the same build. It looks to be, and it is. Okay, so as I mentioned before, usually we would want to deviate away from this at a higher level, but Victor, he's going to be embracing it once again. I mean, this could just be his go-to, right? It could just be the only thing he does in this matchup, or it could be something like, I'm going to do this until it fails, right? I'm going to do this until my opponent can actually deal with my Colossus Harass, my Colossus Micro. And to be fair, it was pretty good. Like, it was pretty good last game. The amount of damage, like the finesse that we had with the War Prism. We'll see if we can replicate that. Meanwhile, Adepts they shade into the main. Well, they do shade in, and they do get a Widowmine, just barely. Very nice pickup. Widowmine goes down. We forced a recall, but alas, only one Adept will make it back home. At least we got a full scout. At least we did shut down the initial Widowmine. And instead, we're going for a Marine drop. Okay. Now, I do like this adaptation here for Stimpacker. Just because we have very little to defend. We have a handful of game weakness. With a shield battery, our natural base should be fine. Should be fine at our natural. Likewise, the main base, we have another shield battery on the way. We should be able to keep up. We should be able to defend. As Marines are coming in, and these are vanilla Marines. You know, there's no stim, there's no combat shields, there's no upgrades whatsoever. As long as we're within range, the shield battery's not done. Uh-oh. The shield battery needs a couple more seconds. The Adept goes down. The Adept does fall. Back up Adept on the way, but once again, it gets caught out of range. Gets caught out of range of the shield battery. Two Adepts do fall, and we have one Stalker left. Jumping into the natural. Can we get some probes? We can. And two probes going to be going down. We almost get a third. Medevac has to get the hell out of here again because of the robo opener. There is no blink. There are no phoenixes, and we did scout the robo. So we should be aware. Once again, that Prism is moving out. The Colossus is in. And we're going for some damage once again. Now, what do we have back at home? What is our setup? We have a Viking already. Okay, you can see already we are much more prepared. We have a Viking. We have a Cyclone in the main. We have tank production, you know, just to be safe against a ground-based push. But the Viking and Cyclone will help quite a bit. As we do drop in, picking away at the main army, swiping a little bit here in the mineral line. We're going to get, 3 SCVs, not bad. We get 3 SCVs. Recalls on cooldown. He just recalled. No, should he just recall the Adepts, remember? Yeah, recalls on cooldown, and the Prism is taking a lot of hits. The job is coming in. Can we focus on the Prism? It's so low. Oh my god. The Prism is so low. Alas, it will barely escape. Just barely. 4 SCV kills, nowhere near as much as game one. Game one, we got, what, 11? It was like 11 or 12 kills. Plus Marines. And this time it was 1 Marine, which was killed earlier. It was 4 SCVs. This time a much stronger defense, and we almost got the Prism. Alas, it did barely escape. Regardless, a much cleaner defense for Stimpacker. Maybe still a little bit dirty, but cleaner overall. It's fine. It's fine. It's all good. Behind this, Victor is going to be expanding, taking his 3rd base. Does take his 3rd, settling into Immortal production once again. But this time we are shifting gears. Okay, we're getting into a Disruptor. Disruptor drop? As much as I would love to see a Disruptor drop, I'm very anxious regarding the War Prism. The War Prism is barely alive. It's barely up and running. There it is. I was looking for it. But the Prism is like, it's barely holding on, being glued together by duct tape, essentially. And we're crazy. We're going out. Uh-oh. I did see a Viking on patrol earlier. Did notice the Viking army moves out. The Cyclone! No! We get the lock-on! 2 more shots, and it looks like, we barely to escape. The Prism barely somehow survives. Nova comes in from behind. We go off with the Nova. Oh my god, we barely don't connect. Jesus. No connection. The Disruptor goes down. The Nova does not connect, and we do Stim on forward. Stim is done. And we do have a shield, but we have an overcharge. But alas, we zone the army away. We're getting on top of the 3rd base, and the 3rd is going to fall down. Yeah, we knocked out the 3rd base, and we can keep going. We can keep pushing. The Disruptor did nothing. The Colossus is vulnerable. The Prism went down. And we can push towards that natural base. Now we still have the overcharge, true. Yeah, overcharge is popped. But we can just go for the shield battery. And we just go for the main army. The tank is going to go down. We do hold. Barely we are holding on. But it's already a win here for Stimpacker. Killed the third base, gets his own third behind this, takes an economic lead. We'll have to get out of here. But this push did do well for itself. And now the pressure is on the Protoss. How do we bounce back? We are so tech heavy here. Oh my god. Going for the Temple Archives. No Storm yet, but looks to be set up for that. Alas, we don't really have the economy for it. There we go. Storm is on the way. But we need that third base, and without it, we can't really sustain the army. And we're going to try. Meanwhile, Stimpacker racing back home, settling into his third base. The Observer does confirm the third base saturation, and Stimpacker is moving out with a fresh double drop of Marines, Marauders, a couple of Widowmines as well. We bypass the main army. Victor, he misses it. We drop in. Good reaction. There's the recall. We do force a recall back home. That does delay the push, which is already a bit of a win here for Stimpacker. Dropping on the low ground, taking down a pylon. We can't quite engage with the Colossus. A little bit ambitious. And we pick up, we get the hell out of here. Do race back, but we're buying time. We're buying time, and the longer this goes on, the better it is for the Terran. As we're just eclipsing the economy of the Protoss. Now, what I will say is that we do have potential for damage. We have potential for to win a fight, I should say, with Storm, right? Like, we saw how amazing the Storms were in Game 1. And if we can land equivalent Storms here on this army, then we can bring it down. It's not going to be easy, though, because that is a lot of Marauders. Oh, my God. Do we have more Marauders than the Marines? We do. 15 Marauders, 14 Marines. This is a beefy army here for Stimpacker. We can take a Storm to the face. We can take 2 Storms to the face. Maybe no more than that. Ooh, as the Observer does spot the move outs. Victor pushing in. Army out of position, racing back home. We have EMPs. We get 1. We get 2. No Storms. Oh my god, the EMPs are brutal. We collapse in. No Storms for the Protoss. Yeah, we're going to just shut this down. The Colossus does fall. We have too many Vikings. We can land them regardless. The ground army doesn't even need the help, but we do land the Vikings. GG, Stimpacker fights back. And we're going to the ace match. We're going all the way to Game 3. Let's go. GG, we're going to the ace match soon. That's what we want out of these 2 players. And again, this is why I was a little bit concerned about the Robo opener. We saw that Stimpacker, he was so much more prepared. He had the Viking, he had the Cyclone. He was in a way almost hard countering. Basically, it's one of those things where if you lose to a build in one game, you face off against the same player, you will adapt, right? You will adapt, you will adjust, you'll be ready for that. And thankfully for Stimpacker, Victor did do the same thing 2 games in a row. And the question becomes, do we do it again? do we commit anyway? I'm hoping we do shake things up a little bit. I want to believe we, have Blink-based openers in our arsenal, or a Stargate opener, for example. But we'll see. Why do you say we? Ah, true. It's a habit, man. But we're settling in. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our Brazilian Protoss player. The Blue Protoss representing Team Host Masters, being forced into the ace match. We'll see if we can bring him back. It is Vic Bansimer. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Ximi's Gaming. It is Stimpacker. I guess it's just how I speak, how I talk. I'm pretty sure I referred to we when I was talking about both Victor and Stim, which might be a little bit confusing. True. True. I'll try to stick to names to try to avoid confusion. But now we're going to be settling in. And we have had Rax expands every game so far at a Stimpacker. I mean, this is a pretty good map for it. We're loading into Site Delta, a bit of a larger map in the map pool. Keep an eye on our players. All right, I was gonna refer to something that was said in the chat earlier. My SEEP schedule heavily relies upon basically casting StarCraft and casting events, right? Like whatever we're casting, I always try to adjust as best I can. Which does mean that true, there is no SEEP schedule. It's just a casting schedule. So, yeah. As a result, for the past week, I did not see the sun, or I should say, the sun was rising as I was going to bed, because EWC was finishing at like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. in the morning. So whenever EWC would wrap up, I just go to bed, wake up, stream again, rinse and repeat. Meanwhile, today, for example, and yesterday as well, because the Americas coverage is in the morning, we wake up when the sun rises, back to normal, kind of, until next week, and then we ruin it again. It's fine, Bobby, it's fine. Copium. As we mentioned before, once again, racks expand. We go for the racks, we expand here on the low ground. It is a more economic opener here by Stimpacker, as we've done every game so far. But really, my eyes are on... There we go. I was gonna say my eyes are on Vic Bensimer, because I was curious, do we go for another robot opener? The answer is yes. We have one build, and we do it well. Okay. Reaper dips in, gets a probe kill. Getting... Oh, not quite another. Attempting to bypass the adepts, slipping into the mineral line. Likewise, Victor going for the surround. We don't deny the scouts. Oh my god, we do get the surround. The probes! He's crazy. The Reaper is shut down, so a nice citizen's arrest. I mean, it did cost a lot of mining time, but in the end, we did kill the Reaper. Alas, Stimpacker, I'm sure, is content. Did scout, did confirm the robo. And I'm assuming this is going to be another Colossus drop, but we'll see, we'll see. We'll give Victor the benefit of the doubt. It might be a different kind of opener instead. Likewise, we'll see how Stimpacker does respond. For the time being, getting to his own marine production, getting into position, setting up back at home. Once again, a safety cyclone early on, which will work quite well against this. And by now, we would have seen the bay. And this time, there is none. Question mark. We've got the money for it. We have the minerals, we have the gas, and oh, okay, we're switching it up. Are you thinking DTs? So we are not going for the bay this time. It is a robo-based opener, and we're going to be harassing with some vanilla gateway units into a Twilight Council. Now, if we wanted to go for something like Blink, why not just open up Twilight Council? That is why I'm leaning towards a Dark Shrine, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see if it's going to be delayed Blink or Dark Shrine or maybe even Charge. But that Twilight Council is very suspect. Drop is moving out, going for a Marine Widowmine drop instead. Quite a lot of potential here in that medevac. Back at home, Viking is on the way, tank as well. We have the tank, we have the Cyclone, we have the Viking. Once again, just like the previous game, we're getting set up here with as much anti-air as possible to deal with that drop. There it is! Dark Shrine! Okay. It's going to be that Dark Shrine opener again. It did look a little bit suspicious. Meanwhile, the drop is coming in. Do we scout? Oh my god. Not quite. The scout is denied. Good zoning here from Victor. But alas, the drop does come in, and we are denying so much mine time. These probes are doing nothing. And they cannot engage the Widowmine to set up behind this. So far, good stutter stepping. We keep the prison back at home. One Stalker goes down. And even if this gets cleaned up, the damage has been done. Going for the Zealot. Up! Boosting into the main. One shot goes off, takes down a Stalker. We do barely get eyes on the tech on the Dark Shrine, but I don't think Stimpacker had enough time to click on it. He barely did see it, but I don't think he did click. As the drop is going to be shut down. Ooh, just barely. So Dark Shrine is on the way. Charge behind it. Widowmine doesn't get another shot off. And back at home, the question becomes, do we mule? Do we have a scan? If we have a scan available, then we're going to be okay, but alas, is Stimpacker, is he aware that he has to hold on? He mules! Uh-oh. Okay, we're okay. We have a scan? I did it again. He has a scan. Bappy, we're invested. Oh, he just muled. Stimpacker did just mule. We're loading up Engie for another scan, potentially. DTs are on the way. Yeah, Dark Templar are morphing in. And do we mule? Does he mule? Oh no! He's got the energy for it. Do we hold on? DTs towards the left, Prism into the main, and he doesn't mule, thankfully. Yeah, drops in. There is a tank in position. The Prism is being shut down. The Viking going ham. Yeah, the Prism is going to fall at the same time here at the natural base. All the DCs are getting damage done. 6 SCVs, but we should have a scan. Up, up. Yeah, we do have that scan available. There it is. And we will clean this up. We lose 8 SCVs, but that could have been so much worse. That's still a decent amount of damage, but that is 2 DTs going down. And likewise, we shut down the Prism. We shut down the War Prism. Okay. Stimpacker does defend. We have a 3rd TC on the way. And Stimpacker does hold. Meanwhile, back at home, Victor getting his own 3rd base up and running. His aggression was somewhat successful, right? Getting 8 SCVs is okay, but quite expensive as well. Bearing in mind the other big thing here is that we have delayed a lot of tech. We have double forge on the way for double upgrades. Alas, upgrades do require a little bit to really kick in. Catching up in the chat. What does this mean? Sounds like you're a better caster, streamer, and entertainer. Banana. Where can I watch? Man, I'm grumpy. What does that mean? What is an entertainer banana? Do I want to know what that means? Oh no. I mean, you can watch me here. I mean, we're live on a daily basis. Like, we've been casting StarCraft daily for like 4 years. Ever since 2020, the COVID era of StarCraft is when we started casting StarCraft like more or less daily. Before that, we would only cast like 2019 is when we started casting seriously. Like end of 2019, and we would only cast like a weekly here or there. But basically casting full time ever since 2020. So there's plenty of content on YouTube, plenty of content on Twitch. Plenty of content out there if you're interested in VODs. We have like 2,000 VODs on YouTube or something. A lot of StarCraft. If there's ever like an event going on, we're usually casting it in some way. Usually, outside of like exclusive events like Wardies tournaments or GSL. For EPT events, sometimes we co-stream as we do move out. And Stimpacker does move out. Shield batteries are getting ready, but there's no splash damage. Again, because of the opener, there's no Colossus, there's no Storm, no Disruptors. Yeah, we're just breaking through the defensive line. We have the overcharge, but alas, it doesn't keep the Archon alive. There's just too much DPS. Too much firepower here for Stimpacker. As we start our step back, we shut down the Zealots. Yeah, and Stimpacker is looking to overwhelm. Again, it was a cheeky opener out of Victor, but alas, didn't really pay off. Needed to get more done and did delay so much more of the tech. Blink is just now finishing. We deny the warp in. The warp in is denied. We can sim on forward and we have broken the 3rd. And here comes a wave of reinforcements. Here comes the 2nd push, the 2nd wave. And Victor just cannot keep up. Not anymore. Does barely hold on to the 3rd, but now we drop into the main. There is another DT. We should have a scan available. I'm hoping we do. And scan is spent. A GG gets called, and Stimpacker will take the series 2-1, advancing on to the quarterfinals. GG. GG, well played. Stimpacker, he stumbled in game 1. If you recall, game 1 did go the way of Victor, and Victor looked very impressive. He looked so impressive with his Colossus drop micro, with his Colossus defense as well. It was all well and good. But we saw that Victor did rely on that build a little bit too much. In game 2, it was shut down. Stimpacker was able to adjust, and game 3 was an interesting one with a robo opener into a bit of a fake out into DTs. The problem is that Dark Templar are very niche in this matchup. As we saw, unlike in other matchups where you have to rely on a unit, so you have to rely on like an observer, an overseer, a spore, a cannon to get detection. In TVP, you have scans, right? You have scans, and you are hoping, you're gambling that there is no scan, right? You're gambling that your opponent mules and that your opponent is just not ready for the Dark Shrine. As we saw, we barely did spot, or the Terran player barely did spot the Dark Shrine. Barely. Alas, I don't think they were able to click on it in time, so I don't think they were fully aware. Despite that, there was one scan left. There was one scan available in the main base. Whether it was intentional or not, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think it was fully intentional, but he was holding onto a scan, and with that, Stimpacker was able to shut down the DTs, able to shut down the Prism as well, and snowball into a win. Congratulations. With that, Stimpacker will advance on into next round. Victor will be knocked out of the tournament. Unfortunately, it is single elimination. There is no second chance. There is no lower bracket. So Victor will bow out. And we will get ready for the next round. Get ready for the next round. Now, it looks like we didn't follow these players, unfortunately. Again, these are replays provided by Cosmos. So whatever Cosmos was covering, that is the replays that we do have. And we are jumping into the quarterfinals. And we're going to be featuring one of the favorites of the tournament. Oh boy, we're going to be jumping into Inexorable versus Sefidofe in a TVT. Oh wait, no, my apologies. TVP once again. For some reason, I thought Sefidofe was a Terran player, but my mistake. It's going to be a Terran versus Protoss. Here we go. Now, if you're unfamiliar with these players, Inexorable is an up-and-coming Brazilian Terran player. Fun fact, he rose through the ranks when we stopped casting Latin American tournaments. So for those that are curious, we used to cast every single Latin American event out there. We used to cast Sentimiento Latino, Batalla de las Américas, Copa Hyperion, Copa América, these big Latin American events, Desafiantes as well. This is back in 2019, 2020, 2021. 2021 is when they kind of dried up, and when a lot of the Latin American scene kind of like backed off from StarCraft. You know, there was a little bit less support going on. If you remember, leading into 2022, I think that was when the merger occurred, where Latin America and the Americas, they came together in EPT. That kind of killed the Latin American scene, so a lot of Latin American players did retire. So because the event stopped, we stopped covering the region, and it was around that era where Inexorable, where he debuted. He debuted and he started improving, getting better. From my understanding, Inexorable is close with a lot of the other NA Terran players, and he gets coaching from Vindicta, gets coaching from Future, and has improved quite a lot in those years from 2021 onwards. And yeah, it's been really exciting to kind of be introduced to him. Oh, he's playing random. Oh, I see. Okay. But yeah, it's really exciting to be introduced to a player that I was unfamiliar with, to a bit of a newer face to the scene that's been actually looking quite good. Been looking quite solid, and here we go. Sporting in the bottom left-hand corner of Crimson Court, we have our Brazilian Terran player, the Yellow Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Inexorable. And I don't know what they said. I'm not. It's Sporting in the top right-hand corner. We have someone we have. Maybe he told him his race. Oh, we have the Brazilian Protoss player. I say Protoss. He picked random, by the way. Oh, you know, he's totally been misclicked. Oh no. He is a random player rolling Protoss from the land of Brazil, representing Team Hellfire. It is Sefidofe. I'm pretty sure he used the main Terran. I'm pretty, like, in my mind, Terran was locked in, but playing random this time, playing random. For those who are unfamiliar with Sefidofe, he is an ex-caster. There used to be a lot of Brazilian casters out there in years gone by. Casters like Sefidofe, for example. Casters like Vizintin. Vizintin's another big one. There's another that I'm thinking of that's like on the tip of my tongue. Not Cosmos, of course, as well. Cosmos has been around forever. He's been the Brazilian caster for a long time. Gustavo's another one. A lot of them have since moved on, but that's why I was really excited to see Sefidofe once again. He's an ex-Brazilian caster and, you know, has since kind of disappeared from the scene and has since returned to play in these tournaments. So really cool to see. Meanwhile, Sefidofe is popping up. Let's go. We're going to be popping off here. We had a shaky start with the pylon placement, but we are going for the proxy out of the map. I did it again. I said we. I'm kidding. He's a fellow caster. I have to cheer for my boy. It's ex-caster, man. But here we go. So from here, the side core is finishing up, and this looks like a proxy Stargate. I'm assuming, I mean, it could be a Robo as well. Meanwhile, Inexorable, he moves out with the Reaper, and he barely does miss it. Barely does miss that pylon. Behind this, it is going to be an economic opener. Racks expand into the factory, and there it is. The Stargate has been thrown down. Now, Sefidofe, when he was casting, that was back in, again, 2020, 2021, back in the Void Ray meta. If you're an old school viewer in the chat, you would know that Proxy Void Ray was a thing back in the day, and it kind of returned a little bit in modern StarCraft. With the nerf of the Cyclone, we have seen pro players like Hero and Classic. They've embraced Proxy Void Ray, you know, like from time to time, like a handful of times this year, for example. Do we embrace that here? Do we set up some shield batteries? Are we crazy enough to try to pull this off? Or otherwise, it could just be an Oracle, for example. It could just be an Oracle. Pylon is on the way. Void Ray is coming. Okay, set it off it. Playing like it's 2020. Let's go. The Void Ray is on the way. We're going to be setting up some shield batteries outside of the bases, and the goal here is to lay siege upon the production. It's to camp the production, to shut down the Cyclone, shut down the Stargate, to shut this all down before anti-air really gets going. So a bold move here by Sefirofe. And here we go, the wall of shield batteries is on the way. Meanwhile, an Inexorable going for the eBay block. Ooh, he finishes the eBay. That is a bit of a mistake here from the Terran player. It is a bit of a mistake. Reaper rotating around, a Void Ray has arrived. And we do reveal ourselves. The shield batteries are just about to finish. Cyclone does confirm. Again, the Cyclone is so vulnerable already at half HP. Cyclones are quite fragile, I should say. Especially the new modern iteration of them. And we'll see if we can get on top of them. For now, just trading with the Marines. A Viking production has begun. It feels like we're taking a little bit too long here. I mean, there's one Void Ray. I should say the Stargate was delayed. If you recall, there was like a bit of a cancel in the pylon. Like the Proxy Stargate did take a little bit longer to really get going. And time is working against Sefirofe. Like, we gotta go. So far attempting to at least apply block Inexorable. And so far successful. The turret is done. Viking is out. Viking gonna be able to survive as well. Oh my god. We do survive, and the shield batteries are running out of energy. Like already 2-3 shield batteries out of energy, and this is a big reason why this build we rarely see it. Why it was nerfed. For those that maybe weren't around back in the day, what really killed this? I mean, there were a couple of things that killed this build. One, Void Rays take a little bit longer to produce, but two, if you remember, back in the day, shield batteries would spawn in with full energy. They used to spawn in with full energy. Nowadays, half energy. That was the big nerf. That was the big change that helped kill this build. Is that now they've morphed in with half energy, which means they're that much less useful. They have that much less sustain. Yeah, and Inexorable is going to be able to force this back. We are building up to 3 Void Rays, true. A way to kind of transition out of this is to go for a proxy like Fleet Beacon into Tempest. I mean, that is possible as well, but for now, just mass Void Ray. And at least we haven't lost any Void Rays, but at the same time, I'm not convinced. As production is rotating around. And Sephiroth are unable to really break through. Nexus? He's crazy. Let's go. So the Nexus does allow us to have an overcharge. Overcharge is going to be available offensively. True. Oh, we get a Viking. Okay. Not bad. We get one Viking. Ooh, do get one Viking. Lock-ons will zone away the Void Rays. And again, behind this, working on Stim, +1. More Vikings. We're getting into reactored Viking production. Which is exactly what you want here in this position. Oh my god, and there's just so much DPS here. We almost get the Void Ray. One Cyclone goes down. And we're within range of the Nexus. No! The Nexus is under fire, and I appreciate, you know, trying to go for that offensive overcharge, but it looks like it's not really going to come into play. Again, this is taking just a little bit too long. A lot too long. As Void Rays, they try to engage, they're going to be zoned away once again. Inexorable still playing this out safely. Does, oh, almost get a Void Ray. They're so low. They're so battered, so bruised, deep in the red, multiple of them. And that Nexus, it finishes. We have an overcharge. We pop it off. Overcharge is pop. We're trying to break through. It's being wasted on the attempt. Void Rays are going down left and right. No manual targeting with the overcharge, and yeah, with that we're gonna break through. We shut down the main army. GG gets called, and Inexorable will take game number 1. GG. Will take the first game, but that was a spicy build, I will say. I appreciate what Sephiroth was attempting. For those that are curious, this build did, in the meta, make a return, specifically if you recall at the start of the year. If you remember, there was initially there was the buff to the Cyclone. There was a buff to the Cyclone, and it was disgusting, where players are massing Cyclone in like almost every single matchup. And if you remember, this was back in, I think, March. Was it post I Am Katowice? I think so. I think it was. I think it was post I Am Katowice. There was a patch which did nerf the Cyclone, and when that did occur, that's when players like Hero and Classic and these top Protosses were experimenting, and they did use this build, and it actually worked a couple of times. We saw it a little bit in WTL, we saw a little bit of it in these online weeklies, and it did make a slight return just because Cyclones were a little bit weaker, so it made the defense against Proxy Void Ray a little bit more difficult, and we saw it, you know, kind of have a little bit of success. It was okay, and then it died off again, just because basically Terran players adapted and they learned to defend without essentially relying on the Cyclone. Basically, the way that you would approach this is that you would prioritize your eBay first for the missile turrets, you'd prioritize your starport for the Vikings, make sure you get reactored Vikings up and running, and then you shut it down. And eventually Terrans learned. They learned how to defend with the new kind of nerf Cyclone, and the build died off. But I appreciate that, you know, Sephiroth, he tried a variation of it again. I appreciate it. Yeah. And now we're getting into our next game. Getting into game 2, Inexorable does take a lead. As a reminder, Sephiroth is playing random, and in game 1 he did roll Protoss. Here in game 2, what do we have? What do you have for us? Camera looks weird. Oh, my apologies. Hold on. The camera. What's weird? What's it's my regular camera back. Maybe it was just a little bit darker, maybe. Okay. Anyway, jumping into game 2 and spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alcyone, we have our Brazilian Terran player, the Yellow Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes, leading the series 1-0. It is Inexorable. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Terran player from the land of Brazil. I say Terran, random player rolling Terran this time. We're here in a TVT. It is Sephiroth. Oh, that's good. I look a little bit more pale. I think that's because for the first time, like, I don't often cast when there's like sunlight outside. So the sunlight is like it's like eking through. Oh, we're going for, oh no, oh god. Sephiroth. We attempted a proxy, we get shut down. Sephiroth does have to retreat back home, so a rough start for Sephiroth. Rough start. Not looking good. Not looking good. But the sunlight is like bleeding through the curtains. And because of that, I think my lights aren't as... Maybe I should turn down the lights. Okay. Hold on. What if I do this? That's better. It's better. It's better. Basically, my lighting is messed up because of the sun. The sun is out, and it's ruining my lighting. I think this is better. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Anyway. Jumping in. We are jumping in again. The proxy is shut down. Just catching up with the chat. It's what I look like in the light. It's what I look like when I have lights like blasting my every angle. Oh god. You're the best, Mr. Duckling. Oh, thank you. Is there a Kung Fu Cup tomorrow? There is not. For those that are curious, Kung Fu Cup is done for the season. Kung Fu Cup, we only had 11 of them, 11 Kung Fu Cups. So Kung Fu Cup has wrapped up for the season of WTL. So this week there's no Kung Fu Cup, and World Team League will return next week for the playoffs. Next week the playoffs of WTL are upon us. But for the time being, there's no more Kung Fu Cups for the year. But there are murmurings that there will be a second, or there will be another season of WTL. And if there is another season, then Kung Fu Cup will return with World Team League. So just as a heads up, Kung Fu Cup is not a weekly tournament. Technically is a weekly seasonal tournament because it only comes with the season of WTL. So just as a heads up. For now though, let's wind it back to our game. I'm a little bit lost. We had a failed proxy early on. We have Inexorable getting into his 1-1-1. Meanwhile, across the map, Sephiroth is going into his own 1-1-1 of choice. In a really interesting production pattern. Okay. Because of how the Rax, Factory, and Starport are spread out, we can't go for add-on swaps, which is kind of weird. So we can't be too efficient here with going for like a reactor into add-on swap or vice versa with Tech Labs. Interesting setup here from Sephiroth. I'm gonna look away from the main base. Fusion Core! Wait, what? He's rushing into a fusion core. He's crazy. Okay. Wait, we don't have room for a tech lab. Yep, there we go. I was a little bit confused. I was like, we can't fit it in. We can't. So we're gonna have to maneuver the sim. Again, the Sim City is not ideal, but we're getting there. We're getting there. It's okay. Rushing towards BCs. Meanwhile, behind this, we have our typical biotank setup. Inexorable is in the dark. Has yet to really piece this all together. As we're just securing ourselves, making sure there's nothing moving out across the map. Speaking of, Sephiroth going for the Cyclone drop. And Inexorable barely doesn't spot it, but is coming back home. Is turning back around. Drop boost in! But there's a tank in position. Yeah, we have the tank. Big volleys going off, and the Cyclones will be deterred. So far, sole defense by Inexorable. Meanwhile, the first battlecruiser is on the way. I kind of want a second starport. not gonna lie. Like if we're gonna meme it up, Pappy, throw down the second starport, get a third starport. Well, we can't really afford 2 starports, but three starports. But get a second starport, go 2-port BC. Why not, Pappy? Oh, we shut down the drop. The drop was found. Inexorable so far looking solid back at home, but Inexorable is unaware of what's going on. BCs are on the way. Yamato's being researched as well. Sephiroth is taking us for a wild ride. Unfortunately, Inexorable is going for a push, and we have very little to defend. This is the army. No bunker, no defensive setup. We have some vanilla Marines, and we're about to have 1 tank, but the tank is halfway done. And I'm afraid that the game might end before we get into BCs. Oh, okay, we have 1 BC. We have 1 BC up and running. It's operational. It's here. And now you can end the game. Oh god, there's just nothing. There's nothing here. No. BC's moving out at the same time. We hit the natural. We have to evacuate. We have to pull away. Yeah, we deny mining here at the natural base. The BC does not turn around. Sephiroth, unflinching, unwavering. He sees your army. He doesn't care. As we do teleport right into the main base, SCVs are going down. We're getting some SCV kills. Tank is going to fall. Inexorable busting into the main. And we're going for a base trade, kind of. We have 1 BC against a Terran army. Let's go. We get the Viking. Yamato is done. Ooh, SCVs are going down. We deny the turrets. We try to at least. We barely do. Oh my god. Okay, the turret does finish up just in time. We barely do get it. We get out of range. The Yamato. Oh my god, the turret survives the Yamato. That's crazy. And at the same time, we're busting into the main. A second BC arrives. We have another Yamato. Where there is no stim, we're getting all the Marines. Wait, no shot. We're getting all the Marines. We're killing everything. We get it. Oh my god, we get the tanks, we get the Marines, we defend back at home. Meanwhile, across the map, the BC is still wreaking havoc. Can we win the game with 2 BCs? No shot. No shot. Can we do this? This is what I'm worried about, though. The main base. In the main base, we are banking up Marines. Marines are banking up. This 1 BC needs help. We need a second BC. We need, oh, the mule! We're going for the repairs. And we barely will repair as well. We shut down every single Marine. Auto Shark gets thrown down. More Marines coming in. The BC's getting very low. No! Oh my god. Big overextension. BC goes down. Mate, if we had 2 BCs, we might end the game. We might have been able to end the game with 2 battle cruisers. But alas, we didn't get across the map. And we don't have another BC on the way. Oh my god, that was so close. Like, we had dealt so much damage. Inexorable is down to the same worker count as Sephiroth. Economies are even. But we're building up more Vikings, more Marines. Sephiroth had momentum, but that momentum is slowly petering out. As we're moving out across the map with everything we have, just 1 tank, 1 BC. That's all we have left. And we can maybe deny mining at the 3rd for a time. Oh my, oh, but we get the disable. A solid disable here on the BC. And there we go, we shut down the battle cruiser, we shut down the tank. GG gets called, and Inexorable will take the series 2-0. We'll advance on to the semi-finals. GG. The hell did we just watch? What, what just happened? That was beautiful. Honestly, there's a world. I can see a world where if that first battle cruiser was reinforced by the second, if you remember, that second BC had teleport. It had teleport available. And if we did teleport across the map a little bit earlier or at all, if we were able to reinforce, then suddenly both BCs survives. We camp the production. We shut down all the Marines. We shut down the Raven. We camp the starport. Vikings don't build up. And maybe we win the game. Then and there, if we just camp the production like that with 2 BCs, with a second Yamato available, with more Yamato stacking up, there's a world. There's a world out there where maybe Sephiroth wins the game. But alas, did fumble the ball a little bit there and wasn't able to reinforce. Lost the first BC to the auto turrets, which we could have flown away from a little bit earlier as well. So things didn't go quite the way of Sephiroth. They were chaotic. Things got very chaotic, but alas, Inexorable does clean it up and will advance on. Congratulations. Congratulations to Inexorable. And with that, he does advance on to the semifinals. Let's go. Just catching up. I guess I got washed out by too much light. Yeah, too much light, Pac. Too much light. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Do appreciate it. Look, this is what happens when you cast too much StarCraft. You don't go outside, and then we become pale. Fun fact: I used to be tan. Like I'm Latin American. I used to be a little bit darker than this, a long time ago. Not anymore. Smooch. But we're getting ready for the semifinals, and with that, there we go. It is going to be a semifinals match between Master and Inexorable. It's going to be a PvT. Master is the best Protoss player in all of Latino America. At a time, it was Paco Mike. Paco Mike did kind of hold the mantle of best Protoss in Latin America. Likewise, Shakti was the best Protoss in Brazil. But Shakti retired, Paco Mike is retired, Master rose through the ranks, and Master has taken that mantle as the best Protoss in all of Latin America. And not just Brazil is the thing. And we'll see how Inexorable compares. Now, we have seen Inexorable bring Master down before. We have seen it occur. But I would still give the edge to Master. I'm hoping for a back and forth. I'm hoping for some StarCraft. Let's go for a solid TVP as we get ready for the semis. And we're jumping into game 1 on Alcyone. Let's go. Alright, jumping into game 1. I don't think we were able to really showcase Inexorable's skill either. Like, when it came to that last game, it was just the nonsense of Sephiroth, and Inexorable was able to shut it down, but it was just really chaotic. It was really chaotic. But now we're jumping into our next game, into our next series, and spawning in the bottom right, sorry, in the top right-hand corner of Alcyone, we have our Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Inexorable. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, representing Team Hellfire from the land of Brazil, it is Master. We go. Yeah, when it comes to these big events, when it comes to Code for Giants Cup, we look at players like Inexorable, look at players like Master, look at players like Eric as well, Yan. Those are the players that typically make these deep runs. Eric wasn't here for Code for Giants Cup number 7, so it's great to see him here for number 8. Likewise, we have some of the best in Brazil facing off. One of these days, we need Diego. We need Kellezer. Where is he? Need Kellezer to make his debut. One of these days. Until then, we can see Master checking for proxies, scouting the linear third base, checking the triangular third as well. A little bit paranoid. Making sure that everything's on the up and up. Likewise, back at home, Inexorable going for an economic opener, going for a Rax Expand single gas here for Inexorable. Single gas opener, then CC on the low ground. Again, Master will confirm what's going on. I was just sipping on some water, making sure I was hydrated. Also, I can see how someone in the chat earlier was saying that, like, oh, I thought this was Frost Giants Cup. I'm looking at the title. I can definitely see how you could read it at that. Code for Giants Cup, Frost Giants Cup. Yeah, I understand. I understand the confusion. I understand. We have yet to really broadcast any Storm Gates. Maybe we will eventually, but for now, all about the StarCraft. See what happens in the future. Now Reaper getting across the map. Twilight Council has been thrown down in the main for Master, so it's going to be a Blink-based opener. Honestly, quite refreshing. Like, this is a standard build at a Master, but after seeing so many Robo openers, I'm like, Blink openers, they still exist. Let's go. I'm happy. I'm happy to see it. I appreciate it. The Twilight Council's on the way. Adept does threaten a shade. Reaper dips in, and we get a full scout. We get eyes on the Twilight Council, and Inexorable is aware of Blink. Is aware of what's going on. Behind this, getting to his 1/1/1. Reaper dips away, and the question becomes, how many gateways? How many gateways? Is it going to be 2-gate Blink, 3-gate Blink, or 4-gate Blink Stalkers? Master has options to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more aggressive. Reaper dips in and gets eyes on the upgrade. With this, at least confirms that it's not going to be a Dark Shrine, as he sees the building researching. So at least there's that. But shouldn't get much else, as Reaper does get the hell out. And we have 2 extra gates on the way. Okay, so we have at least 3. It's going to be 3-gate Blink Stalker, 3-gate Blink. It's a very safe way to play. It's very middle of the road. Oh, as we sneak up on that Adept. And barely will shut it down as it commits to the shade. But it's very middle of the road. 4-gate Blink is hyper aggressive. 2-gate Blink is more economic and more greedy. 3-gate Blink is just a nice middle road here. It allows us to be safe against these early pushes. Likewise, allows us to be a little bit more assertive on the map and go for these counterattacks. Master has those options available to him. Meanwhile, Inexorable, moving out across the map, likewise, looking to be a little bit more assertive here. We can try to maybe take down the pylon. Yeah, the medevac is on the way. The goal here is to try to punish the production, the tech. I imagine. We'll see if we go for the cliff here, if we go for the natural. Where are we headed? Behind this, third CC is on the way. We're going for the natural. Going for the natural base to shield, but we're going for the bunker. Oh my god. Inexorable. Calm down. Bunker's being thrown down right outside. Shield battery is done, but we're barely out of range. Adept does go down. And we do manage to focus down the SV just barely. Yeah, we deny the bunker. Bunker is cancelled, and from here, we're going to be able to clean up these Marines. Remember, there's no stim. Do get 1 Stalker, but we shut down every single Marine at the same time. We go for the Cyclone jump into the main, and we're getting damage done. Marines are going down. Recall into the natural. We get 6-7 probe kills. But Blink has completed, and we barely don't catch the medevac. Oh my god. Inexorable. He gets away. He does get away. Does escape. And was that worth it? That is the question. I mean, I'm a little bit concerned. It did cost us a lot of Marines. It was basically a one-to-one trade, Marine for a probe. I would say, I mean, the economic damage was a little bit more impactful as we get 4 more probes in the main. Oh my god. Inexorable. He's not stopping. Liberator is popping off. We're getting damage done. Master falling a little bit behind here in the economy. And Inexorable back at home is looking to embrace his own. Again, third CC is almost done. We can land the third base and boost into the mid game. It's going to be the goal here, the plan for Inexorable. I am concerned that Inexorable did throw away a little bit too much supply and is vulnerable. But for the time being, we're going to be okay. We're keeping Master pinned back at home. The most important thing is that the medevac is alive. Because the medevac is still up and running, it means that Master has to keep supply back at home to defend. So even though we're moving out, it's just for scouting, just to poke in. We can't be as committed as we otherwise would hope to be. It isn't just a drop, it's the Liberator as well. So that is 6 Stalkers stuck at home. So very nicely done here by Inexorable. Back at home, we're getting to our 3-1-1, soon to be 5 rack setup. Third TC yet to be taken, but soon we will once we have an army to defend. Master's attempting to keep Inexorable honest. With the Observer spotted. Oh my god, we barely don't get it. Observer is barely not gotten. Oh, I'm not familiar with Gruntar, but maybe a new Brazilian caster? Maybe. We are getting ready to poke in. I want to say that was in reference to the Observer. I want to say. The Observer's on 4 HP. Meanwhile, Stalkers, they dip in, they get 2 SCVs. Not bad. They will escape, but alas, Inexorable will now establish his third base. And with that, we'll be able to boost ahead in the economy. You can see that Master's on his own third base as well. We have a comparable worker count, but honestly, a Protoss player wants to be up a base compared to a Terran, because it isn't just about the SCVs, it's about the mules as well. So Inexorable is in a good position economically, I will say. Looking solid. You are moving out across the map. Likewise, Master does spot the move out with the Observer, is aware. Scan reveals the main army, and Inexorable trying to bait the army within tank range. Scan making sure there's no Observer. And Inexorable does have dive potential. Oh, Stim's in. A little bit early, a little bit premature. And the Stim is wasted. Tanks and sieging up, we're slowly encroaching upon the third base. We do have 1 shield battery, 1 overcharge. Likewise, we can't really push up the ramp. Meanwhile, Master, he pushes down. Oh my god. Does push down the ramp and will barely get on top of the tanks here. Blazes through those Marines, and the tanks are going to be going down. And the Colossus survive. A very dominant fight here from Master. Shuts down the tanks, shuts down the push. I was a little bit concerned that Master was moving out of range of the shield battery, but apparently didn't need it. Didn't need the shield batteries. Had a concave. And Inexorable is now in a rough position. I was praising Inexorable for his economy, for his third base, and I still stand by that. But that was a lot of supply thrown away. And now suddenly we don't really have any pushing power here. We have some drops, that is true, but not much more than that. And the other scary thing is that we didn't lose any Colossus, right? Master didn't lose any Colossus. We have 3 Colossus already. Which means Master can soon move out. And Inexorable does spot the move out, does spot the main army. It's going to bleed out a lot of Marines. At the same time, we're setting up a big counterattack. And the hope here is to force Master to turn around. To force Master to defend. As we do Stim in. And we hit the third base. Sorry, we hit the natural. Oh, getting some zealots. The Nova comes off. Yeah, the Disruptor has arrived. Nova goes off, and we will shut this down. Ay, ay, ay. Looks like the medevacs will be able to escape just barely, despite the detection, despite the Observer. Inexorable will get away. Thankfully, does save a lot of supply. But Master is still looking quite comfortable. We're on 4 bases. We're getting the gold. The 5th base is on the way. Master is looking quite comfortable, and Inexorable back at home is still building up, but... Oh, I just realized. My apologies. There we go. Did I have the player name switched? Apologies. But Inexorable is building up back at home and is at least left alone, but doesn't really have much to work with here. He's down in supply, getting a 4cc. And here comes the move out. Master getting to double disruptor production. Prison speed is on the way. Speaking of, War Prism does drop some zelts into the mineral line. Into the third. Master catching the drop again. He has the Observer, does see everything, and will clean this up. It's going to be 3 Medivacs full of units going down. Big loss for Inexorable. This Observer being the MVP. Saw everything. And Master is now moving out. We will at least shut down the Prism. The Prism does go down, thankfully. Prism does fall. But with 3 Colossus and 3 Disruptors, it's going to be a tough hold here for Inexorable. It's not going to be easy. Master does move in. Never goes up. Oh! Doesn't quite connect, but zones away the army. As Master is attempting to go for a bit of a pincer move. Last Inexorable's keeping up. We are slowly taking our 4th base. Ghosts have arrived. We have EMPs. But Disruptors, they don't care about your EMPs. Never goes up. No! Massive connection! And Massive Nova goes up. Another one as well. The splits are not there. The splits are not what we need them to be. And with that, another Nova. This time we do avoid it, thankfully. Nova doesn't quite connect. But the others did. And with that, Inexorable plummets in supply. The Colossus are going down, but what about the ground army? What about the Zealots, the Stalkers, the Gateway army? Nova goes off and takes down more Marauders, more Ghosts. The balls are a little bit too good. The Vikings land, but it does not matter. Not anymore, as Master has broken the 3rd base. Getting into the mineral line, GG gets called, and Master will take game number 1. Whew. GG. GG, well played. Master will take a lead in this series. Again, it was a rough start for Inexorable. I mean, I say a rough start. Was able to successfully get into his 3rd base. Was able to get some economic damage done early on. But things very quickly swung in favor of the Protoss with the failed move out. With the failed push when we were parked outside of the natural base with our tanks, with our bio army. And when Inexorable lost everything outside of the 3rd base, that was a brutal moment. And Inexorable wasn't able to recover from that moment. After that, of course, it led into his triple dropping, getting caught out as well, and Master was able to retain his Colossus and get into Disruptors and just build up a death bull of an army. And with that, Master does take a lead, but it's a best of 3. You know, I want to believe that we can bring it back here and make a series out of this, but the pressure is now on Inexorable. The pressure is on, as we're getting into game number 2 on Site Delta. Let's go. Let us go. As spawning in the top left-hand corner of Site Delta, we have our Brazilian Terran player, the Red Terran, representing the Platinum Heroes. It is Inexorable. Currently down in the series, looking and hoping to fight back here and now to force the ace match. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Brazilian Protoss player, the Blue Protoss, representing Team Hellfire. 1 game away from making it to the grand finals. It is Master. We go. Here we go. It's once again, Master is going to be checking the linear 3rd base. If you recall, at the beginning of game 1, Master was very vigilant when it came to scouting for proxies. It looks like here in game 2, doing the same. Checking the linear 3rd, checking the triangular 3rd as well, making sure that there is no shenanigans going on from the side of the Terran. So Master is playing it safe. Back at home, Inexorable setting up a standard opener. It looks like a Rax Expand Once again, economic opener from the Terran player. Very similar to game 1. We're not really spicing things up too much. There's no double gas, there's no faster factory. But I'm curious if Inexorable is going to try to go for something more aggressive this time. I'm referring to a 3 racks or a 2 base all in. And we'll keep an eye on Inexorable. As we're moving out with our worker scouts, Probe does confirm the CC on the low ground, so Master is aware of the more economic start. Likewise, Inexorable doing the same. Dipping in, getting eyes, making sure there's no like 2 gate opener, for example, or anything crazy like that. Making sure nothing is out of the norm. Speaking of, the Probe is... okay. is coming back home. I was like, is going through an interesting attack path or interesting scouting path. Making sure there's no proxy starport, for example, and also hoping to avoid the Reaper. Doesn't make it back home. Speaking of Reaper, there is none. Interesting. So thankfully, Inexorable does at least go for the SCV scout, but he skips the Reaper this time, going for the Marine instead. Oh my god, and that's going to be a 3cc! That is a 3rd CC before factory, before starport. It looks like 3cc 3 racks. We'll see if we commit here to... yeah, there's no gas. There's no gas, so we should be seeing, yep, a 2nd and a 3rd racks as well. So a very greedy, very economic start here from Inexorable. This is something that we see more often on Side Delta. The reason for this is because Side Delta is one of the more defendable maps on 2 bases. Because of the ramp coming into the natural, you can get away with some greed. Can get away with that greed. Likewise, the main base, it is a little bit more difficult to go for 4-gate blink, to blink into the main to try to punish the Terran player, just because of this brutal choke point as well. There just is less room to kind of maneuver around. So in the end, Inexorable is being hyper greedy, and we'll see if he gets away with it. Meanwhile, Master, once again, 3-gate blink. Same build. Same build 2 games in a row from Master, very middle of the road, is very safe, allows us to be a little bit assertive across the map, getting to blink Stalkers, and this is good for Inexorable. You know, the fact that this is a bit of a safer build from the Protoss player means that the Terran can cut corners, get away with his greed, and build up towards the mid-game. Now, the scariest thing about this build is the mid-game. It's not about, you know, the stim timing. There is going to be a stim timing here with this 3 racks. We do have a lot of Marines to work with. But the scariest thing is because this 3rd base gets online so fast, it means that the Terran player just booms ahead economically in the mid-game and it explodes into, or I should say, it's reflected in the supplies, right? The production does explode and we can max out real quick. And the pressure is going to be on Master to figure this out. To recognize what's going on and punish it. If he doesn't, it's going to be a rough road to travel here for Master. Behind this, War Prism's on the way. Master in position for drop play. We can see there is no drop play because there's no starport. So Master again is playing very safe and very secure, and it isn't really paying off.
Research complete.
So War Prism does move out. As we mentioned before, there is going to be an initial stim timing from Inexorable. It is going to hit a little bit later once stim kicks in. We're going to have a lot of Marines to work with. A lot of Marines. Again, we'll see if Master should be able to keep up at least with the initial move outs. With all these Stalkers. I mean, that is a lot of Stalkers. It is a lot to work with. At the natural base, the bunker is ready. Likewise, in the main, we have Marines in position as well. Stim is almost done, but not quite yet. We catch the Marines! No! They evacuated the bunker. The bunker is empty, and the bunker is going to go down. Ay. That was a brutal move out from Inexorable. Backup bunkers on the way. Marauders have arrived, and we should be able to hold on to the natural. But Master did find a lot of damage. Stim is not yet done. Boys are being pulled. And when bleeding out a lot of Marines, we do focus fire the first Marauder.